I'm going to teach you 6 amazing, funky, rocky bass guitar patterns that you can use. Now, every single one of these is in the key of A minor. One of them's A Dorian, but you actually don't need to worry about any of the theory behind this. But if you do want to move this to different keys, you can. Just download the PDF for free, and you can just move the red blob wherever you like, and you'll be playing in different keys. So let's look at the first one. Now, if you've played bass guitar for any amount of time, you'll know that there are lots and lots of different bass patterns that you need to know. All a pattern is, by the way, is just a fragment of a scale or a triad or an arpeggio. All these little music theory devices, those are what you need to know to learn to make up your own bass lines, fills, solos, and to get your ear really good so that when you hear your favorite bass lines, you can recognize them. So all this is, look, we've got a root. That's the R, and that's on A. So we've got just the first 3 notes of a scale here. In fact, the first 3 notes of a Dorian mode. And what I like about this shape, it's like that you've got a mirror image that's about the root. So you've got like fingers 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 4, sorry. If you put your little finger on the A now, you've got almost the mirror image. So you go a whole step higher and then a half step higher from the root. And then here you go a whole step lower and then a half step lower than the root. I just find it a very easy pattern. This is just something that I've, sort of noticed, and you will, when you learn lots of patterns on bass, you'll find your own patterns. Probably in one of the patterns I'll give you today, you might find your own one within there. So, to practice this, you could be playing an A. Make up a groove. All those notes fit, they work over an A minor chord, okay? So that's pattern 1. Then the second pattern, it's actually a minor pentatonic scale, but I'm leaving out the flat third. I just find these notes, the perfect 4th, that's what the P4 stands for. Perfect 4th, perfect 5th, musicians probably just say 4th, 5th. Then you've got flat 7 octave. So you've got your root there, that's the R. You can hear how good those notes sound. They're in Billie Jean as well. With a root 5 flat 7 octave. This is a very movable shape. They're a very common pattern, that. So that little shape there can be moved around really easily. Okay, so root 4, 5, flat 7, root again, octave. I mean, you don't need to be thinking about it in those terms. Just learn it as a pattern and have some fun with it. Okay, add in 2 extra notes to the previous pattern. You got another pattern that I love to use this. That's kind of pretty much exclusively how I play this. That's the 10th. Now a 10th is just the flat, minor flat 10th, I should say. It's just the 3rd note of a scale up the octave, and it's just a brilliant note. You can play it at the top of a chord, root 5, 10. And the note that's half a step below that is a 9th. So if you count all the way up to an octave, that would be 8, the octave. And you go to the next note after the octave, that's your 9. It's just all numbers within a scale. And I'm playing it there. So when I'm doing this a lot, I'll do stuff like this. A pluck on the 10th, which is the 5th fret of the G, that's the note C. And a slide down with the same finger. And then play, some other notes with your other notes within the pattern. And I especially like to add in articulations, which, that's one of them, a slide. There's a hammer on. You can make up a bass line. And since it's movable, now really these shapes are sort of fragments of larger shapes, really. And as I mentioned before, you could take away even more notes to come up with your own little patterns that you use all the time. Many of these are chord tones that are just notes within an arpeggio or a chord. So that's why they sound really good, okay? And as bass players, we play those notes a lot. This next one, there's your root note. Frets 3, 5, 3, 5 on both the E and the A. Put those two notes up the octave. It's a G, A, C, D. It's the same notes. And then add in the 7th fret, the E. You can make up a bass line from that. A fill. Now that was quite a busy fill. Just because you have all these notes under your fingers, it doesn't mean you need to use each and every single one of them all the time. It's just there as an option. This next one I love, just 4 notes. Root, flat third, perfect fourth or just fourth. And that is your choice note there. That's the blues note, and that's a blues scale. It's a tiny fragment of a minor blues scale. That's a must-know scale for a bass player. Just sounds great. And it's also... just hear it all the time. So I'm just taking 4 notes from that. And you can do all kinds of little hammer-ons, short notes, long notes to bring a little fragment, a little shape like this to life. So I'm using rhythms. That's a vibrato there. Slides, hammer-ons, trying to bring this to life. And I like doing this kind of thing, which is just making stuff up on the spot immediately with these shapes. I just did the same lick, if you like, just on every single place that I could find an A. 5th fret, E string, 7th fret, D string. You should know an octave pattern. 12th fret, A string. Any of these patterns will work by moving them to the same root wherever you are. Now, I stopped at 6 patterns for this lesson. I probably will one day, actually. I write books, by the way, and courses. I'll put a link below if you're interested in any of those. But I probably will do one on patterns one day because I can easily think of 100. This is one I use a lot. So this time I'm going to demonstrate it up here at the 12th fret. Okay, so we've got our root note. We've got our flat third, 4th and 5th. That's your notes C, D, and E on frets 10, 12, and 14 of the D string. Now that's just a standard minor pentatonic shape that you may already know. You know that one where you go fingers 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3? If you don't know that, you should know that. Just rearranging the notes to make it more conducive for a different style of playing, to utilize a few more techniques. So that we've got it again here. And that's your flat 7. And I'm stopping there and I'm choosing to just see this as a little mini shape. Anything on the same string you could slide very easily between the notes. There I was going from the 5. 4, 5, flat third. Not thinking about what the individual notes are called in terms of names or intervals, although I do like to know those two things, and that's essential to know. You don't need to know that, just know it's that note, and that note. And you can slide between them, hammer-ons, whatever you like. And just thinking about a shape in this way just makes me play differently. Plus, once I know them, earlier on I was... that shape one. Come up here for a fill. It just sounds really cool. It's different to... I just wouldn't play that if I arranged my notes in a sort of standard minor pentatonic way. I just wouldn't play like that. And that's what I was doing in the intro. I was just coming up with a groove, a slap groove using shape 1 and octaves. And then just every now and again, every 4 bars or so, playing a fill. There's one of the shapes there. You know, you get the picture, I think. And all really these shapes are just, you know, either a shrunken down Dorian mode or minor pentatonic or blues, okay? Which is a bit of a clue for you to learn those scales in many, many different places on the bass. But really the point, I guess, of this lesson is to make your life a little bit easier by shrinking larger patterns down into just little sort of units, I guess. And I find it really, really useful in my playing to think of bass patterns in that way anyway. Right, so download that PDF, copy the ideas I was doing where I was just making up a groove and just playing around, messing around with this. When you get a bit more confident, add in a metronome or a drum loop and just have fun with it. If you're into funk or rock, I've got a funk and a rock book and a funk bass course, so I'll put links to that in the description too as well. But if you have any questions whatsoever, do let me know. Thanks so much for watching to the very end of this video. Here's another funk video for you to watch. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.